All right, let's take a look at this problem. Ariana ate 3 5/6 slices of pizza. Ashley ate 3 3/8 slices. How many more slices did Ariana eat than Ashley? Explain or show your reasoning. All right, so let's underline some important words that will tell us about what kind of operation we are going to use. This word here, how many more? This word indicates that we have to find the difference. So we have to find the difference between what Ariana ate and what Ashley ate, because we want to find out how many more slices did Ariana eat than Ashley. So let's go ahead and find that difference. So 3 5/6 minus 3 3/8 minus 3 3/8. Okay, so we are subtracting two mixed numbers, and they have different denominators. So that tells us that we have to find a common denominator. To find the common denominator, we are going to list the multiples of both so that we can find a least common denominator. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's list the multiples of 6 here, and let's list the multiples of 8 right here. So here we're going to write 6, 12, 18, 24. And I want to stop right here because I already know that 24 is going to be over here. So 8, 16, 24. So 24 is the least common multiple. So that is going to be our least common denominator that we're going to use. And we should use the least common denominator because we will work with smaller numbers and it makes the problem easier. You can also use bigger denominators, but that would just make the problem harder. Use 48 for example, but I think that would just make it harder. So let's go ahead. So we know that 6 times 4 is 24, and we know that 8 times 3 is 24. So we want this denominator to be 24. So this is going to be 6 times 4. We're just creating equivalent fractions with this denominator. Whatever we do to the bottom, we have to do to the top. Okay, now this one, we know 8 times 3 is 24, so this is going to be 8 times 3. Whatever we do to the denominator, we have to do to the numerator. So now let's write our new equivalent fractions with the same denominator. So now this is going to be 5 times 4 is 20. Okay, so this is our new denominator, 24, 6 times 4, minus, we have 3 times 12, bring down the whole number, 3 times 3 is 9, right, that's 24. Okay, so now we can just perform the subtraction. Now we're subtracting 3 and 24ths minus 3 and 9/24. So let's subtract these numerators here. 20 minus 9, and that's going to give us 11. So 11/24 is the answer because 3 minus 3 is 0, so there's no whole number here. So 3 and 20/24 minus 3 and 9/24 equals 11/24, and that is the difference. That is how much more slices Ariana ate than Ashley. All right, here we have another problem. again, we are doing fraction arithmetic. We are adding or we're subtracting fractions. So we have 3 and 5 sixths minus 2 and 4 ninths. So first of all, again, we're going to find the common denominator between 6 and 9. So let's write the multiples of 6 and multiples of 9. Let's write it right here. So 6 multiples of 9. Okay, so 6, 12, 18. I'm going to stop right here because I already know 18 is coming up here. 9, 18. Because 9 times 2 is 18. We got 6 times 3 is 18. So we have our least common multiple between both of these denominators. So that will be our least common denominator. Okay. You got 6 times 3. We also do it to the top also. This side, we're going to do 9 times 2. So that's going to give us 18. Okay. So now we're about to create our new equivalent fractions with the same denominator. So this is going to become 3. All right, so 5 times 3 is 15. This is going to become 18 minus 2, 4 times 2, 8 over 18. So now we have our new fraction. So this one is equivalent to this one. So and this one is equivalent to this one. So 3 and 15 18ths minus 2 and 8 18ths. So let's subtract the numerators. Let's subtract the whole numbers. 3 minus 2 equals 1. 15 minus 8 equals 7. And we keep our denominator of 18. So that is our difference. That is our answer. 1 and 7 18ths. Now, in this unit, we also learned about line plots. Here we have Jeremy's apricots. Each of these X's represent the apricots that Jeremy picked. So that's an apricot, that's an apricot, that's an apricot. And these are the weights in ounces. So the first thing we need to determine is the fractional units between an interval like between 0 and 1 or between 1 and 2. So we can count it. We can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that means that we are working with 8s. So that means this is 1 8, this is 2 8, etc., etc., 3 8, 4 8, etc. This is 1 whole, or 8 8s, and this is 1 and 1 8. This is 2, so this is 2 and 1 8 over here. This is 2 and 2 8s over here. Okay, so we have that clear. So let's look at the first question. What is the difference between the heaviest apricots and the lightest apricots? Okay, so the heaviest apricot is going to be all the way to the right over here. So it will be this apricot. And the lightest apricot will be all the way to the left over here, because these are the weights. So the lightest will be closer to 0, and the heaviest will be closer to the greatest number here. So it's this one. It's the lightest, it's the heaviest. So let's find the difference. So difference, it means subtraction. So let's find out what is the measurement for this. So this is 2 wholes. So this is 2 and 1 8, 2 and 2 8. So this is 2 and 3/8. So 2 and 3/8. Now let's find out the measurement for this one. Okay. So this is 8/8, 1 whole. Well, this is 7/8. Or you can come from this side here. 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8. So let's find out the difference between 2 and 3/8 and 7/8. Okay. So we're going to do 2 and 3/8 minus 7/8. Notice how we already have the same denominator, so we don't have to do any equivalent fractions or anything of the sort. But we do have to do one thing, because we have numerators here that this one is smaller than this one, so we cannot do 3 minus 7. So that tells me that I'm going to have to either borrow from this whole here, regroup this, or I can just convert this into an improper fraction. So let's, just to show you the other way to do it, let's convert it into an improper fraction. So let's start from here to here, like this. We're going to do 8 times 2 plus 3. So 8 times 2 is 16, 17, 18, 19. So we added the 3. So this is equal to 19/8. This is 19/8 minus 7/8. Minus 7/8. Okay, so we know that 19 minus 7 is 12/8. So 19/8 minus 7/8 equals 12/8. And that is equal to, so that's one group of 8/8 plus an additional 4/8. So that's 1 and 4/8, which is also equal to 1 and 1/2. So any of these three answers will be valid. 12/8, 1 and 4/8, or 1 and 1/2. And another way to do it is to just count on the number line here, on the line plot, the jumps of 8s. So let's do it. 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we counted 12 jumps of 8. So that's 12/8, exactly what we got. All right, so let's answer this question now. How many apricots weighed more than 1.5 ounces? So, weighed more than 1.5 ounces. So, more than 1.5 ounces. So first we have to find where is 1.5 ounces. Okay, so let's find out 1.5 ounces, where that is. So this is 1. This is 1 and 1/8, 1 and 2/8, 1 and 3/8, 1 and 4/8. So 1 and 4/8. Oh, that's a half, because 4 is half of 8. This is an equivalent fraction to 1 and 1/2. So right here is the half point. Right here. So we want to know how many apricots, or how many etzes, weighed more than 1.5 ounces. So we look, more is to the right of it, so we just count all of these right here. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so that's 11 apricots. How many apricots weighed more than 2 ounces? Okay, let's just erase these. Okay, So how many apricots weight more than 2 ounces? You go to the 2 ounces. This is the 2 ounces right here. So more than 2 ounces is everything over here. So that's 2 apricots. 2 apricots weigh more than 2 ounces. Okay. How many apricots weight less than 1 ounce? All right, you go to the 1 ounce. Go to 1 ounce over here. And you can notice that everything to the left is less than 1 ounce. And there is only 1 apricot there. So only 1 apricot weighs less than 1 ounce. Now, how many apricots were weighted in total? Well, each X is an apricot. So to find out how many apricots were weighted in total, all we have to do is count all of these X's. That's all we have to do. We have to count them. So you go ahead and you count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So how many apricots were weighted in total? 16 apricots. Okay. We have another question about this line plot. Paris says that half of the apricots weight more than 1.5 ounces. Do you agree with her? Okay, so let's take a look at, again, at 1.5 ounces. So 1.5 is going to be over here at 1 4/8. 1, 1/8, 1 1/8, 1 2/8, 1 3/8, 1 4/8. This point is 1.5 right here. So Paris says that half of the apricots, half. So remember that we said that there are 16 apricots in total, right? What is half of the apricots? So half of the apricots means 8 apricots. So Paris says that 8 apricots weight more than 1.5 ounces. Do you agree with her? Well, let's verify that. Let's go to 1.5 ounces and let me see if there are 8 apricots there. So this is 1.5. So more than 1.5 is everything over here. So let's count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, that's what we said before, that how many apricots weigh more than 1.5 ounces? 11. So we can say that we don't agree. Okay? Say, I don't agree. Okay, I don't agree. I'm not going to write all of this, but I don't agree, you can say, because half of the apricots means 8 apricots. So that's 8 out of 16 in total apricots. And when I count all the apricots that weight more than 1.5, I see 11 of them, not 8. So that's why I disagree. Now look at the last question here. What is the combined weight? Combined weight of the 2 heaviest apricots. Okay, so combined weights. That means that we are combining weights of 2 of the heaviest apricots. So we are adding those 2 weights. So let's identify the 2 heaviest apricots over here. So the 2 heaviest apricots are the 2 that are most to the right. So are this one and this one here. So this one weighs 2 1/8. This one weighs 2 and 3/8. So 2 and 1/8, 2 and 2/8, 3 and 3/8. So we're gonna combine 2 and 1/8 plus 2 and 3/8. So let's write it over here. 2 and 1/8 plus 2 and 3/8. Very simple. We already have the same denominators, so we don't need to do anything else. We'll just do the addition. So 2 wholes plus 2 wholes is 4. Okay. 1 plus 3 is 4. We keep our denominator, so we get 4 and 4/8. And this is also equivalent, if we simplify this by dividing it by 4, we get 4 and 1/2. So 4 and 4/8 or 4 and 1/2.